Welcome back to Booming Mentality, the channel where we dive into the raw, unfiltered stories of greatness, resilience, and the unbreakable mindset that defines legends. If you've ever wondered what separates ordinary people from the ones who rise above everything, then you are in the right place. Because today we're not just talking about an athlete, we're talking about one of the most feared and fascinating figures in sports history. Think about this. Imagine a kid who grew up in one of the toughest neighborhoods in America. By the time he was 13 years old, he had already been arrested more than 30 times. 30 times before even becoming a teenager. Most people would have written him off as a lost cause. But that same kid would go on to become the youngest heavyweight champion the world had ever seen. A man who knocked out opponents in less than 60 seconds and struck fear into the hearts of giants. His name alone made grown men tremble. But here's where the story gets even crazier, because while the world saw an unstoppable machine inside the ring, outside of it, his life was pure chaos. He earned more than $300 million, but at one point he was completely broke. He was loved, hated, celebrated, and ridiculed, all within the span of just a few years. And the real twist? His most dangerous opponent was never another fighter. It was always himself. This is the incredible rise, fall, and rebirth of Mike Tyson. A story so unbelievable that if it wasn't true, you'd think it was a Hollywood script. Stick with me until the end, because you'll discover the hidden lessons inside Tyson's journey that could change the way you think about failure, redemption, and what it really means to fight back when life knocks you down. Think about it. What makes a champion? Is it strength? Is it skill? Or is it the ability to keep fighting when everything around you falls apart? Tyson's story has all of that and more. From the streets of Brooklyn, where he was arrested more than 30 times before he was even a teenager, to the heights of Las Vegas, where entire arenas trembled when he walked in, to the darkness of losing everything, only to return not as a fighter, but as a man who found wisdom in pain. And here's the cliffhanger. What if Tyson's greatest battle was never inside the ring, but always against himself? Stick with me until the very end of this video, because you'll hear the hidden lessons that could change the way you look at success, failure, and redemption forever. Mike Tyson was born in 1966 in Brownsville, Brooklyn, one of the toughest neighborhoods in New York City. His childhood was marked by poverty, violence, and constant bullying. By the time he was only 13 years old, Tyson had been arrested more than 30 times. His life seemed destined for prison, not greatness. But fate intervened in the form of a mentor, the legendary boxing trainer Cus D'Amato. Cus did not just teach Tyson how to fight, he taught him how to live. He gave him discipline, focus, and a philosophy that would guide his career. Cus once told him, "A hero and a coward both feel fear, but it is what they do with it that makes them different." Tyson carried those words like a weapon. By the age of 20, Mike Tyson made history by becoming the youngest heavyweight champion ever. His speed, his power, and his ferocity were unmatched. Fans around the world watched in awe as Tyson demolished opponents in mere seconds. One of his fights ended in a knockout in less than 1 minute. The world had never seen anything like it. Tyson was not just a boxer. He was a force of nature, a human wrecking ball. But here is the first cliffhanger. With fame and money came temptation, and with temptation came cracks in the armor. While Tyson was unstoppable in the ring, outside of it, chaos followed him everywhere. He spent millions on mansions, cars, jewelry, and wild parties. His marriage to actress Robin Givens turned into a public scandal. The media portrayed him as both a superstar and a disaster waiting to happen. In 1991, his life collapsed when he was convicted and sentenced to prison. For 3 long years, the man who had once terrified the boxing world sat behind bars, and many believed his career was over. But here is where things get complicated, Because when Tyson came back, he was still a monster in the ring, but the magic was fading. In 1996, he lost to Evander Holyfield in a shocking upset. In the rematch, the infamous moment happened. Tyson bit Holyfield's ear, a scene that stunned the entire planet and forever damaged his reputation. What had once been seen as ferocious strength now looked like desperation. Over the next years, his career spiraled. By the early 2000s, Tyson was broke. He had earned more than $300 million in his career, yet he declared bankruptcy. Imagine that, from the richest fighter alive to nothing. How could a man who once ruled the world fall so far? That question haunted fans everywhere. But here comes the twist that makes this story so much more than just tragedy. Instead of disappearing, Tyson reinvented himself. He began to speak openly about his mistakes, his addictions, his mental health battles, and his regrets. He embraced vulnerability, something nobody expected from the so-called baddest man on the planet. Instead of fear, he began to inspire respect. He acted in movies, performed on stage in one-man shows, and created a podcast where he spoke honestly about life, discipline, and redemption. And perhaps most surprising of all, Tyson discovered peace in his family, in business, and even in spirituality. Today, Mike Tyson is not remembered only as a fighter, but as a symbol of resilience. His transformation is nothing short of astonishing. From being arrested more than 30 times as a teenager, to becoming the youngest champion at 20, to losing it all and climbing back to become a voice of wisdom, Tyson's journey is proof that no matter how far you fall, redemption is always possible. And here is a cliffhanger for you to think about. Was Mike Tyson's greatest fight ever really against another boxer? Or was it the fight against himself? So what can we learn from Mike Tyson? His story is not just about glory or downfall. It is about the human condition. Talent and strength can take you to the top, but without discipline and self-control, it can all vanish overnight. Tyson teaches us that resilience is more powerful than raw force, that falling down is not the end, unless you refuse to get back up. His life proves that it is never too late to rewrite your story, to turn chaos into wisdom and pain into power. And maybe, just maybe, his true legacy is not the knockouts, but the lessons he left behind. The next time you feel broken, the next time you feel like the world has counted you out, remember this: even Iron Mike, the man who seemed invincible, was knocked down by life itself. But he rose again. And if he can rise after everything he went through, then so can you. Because here is the truth. Tyson shows us that redemption is not just for legends. It is for anyone willing to fight back, to learn from mistakes, and to transform pain into progress. You do not need millions of dollars. You do not need championship belts. You do not need the roar of the crowd. What you need is the decision to rise again, even when the world expects you to stay down. And let's be real. Isn't that the kind of mindset we all need today? Life will knock you out with failure, heartbreak, or loss. But Tyson proves that you can come back from anything. His journey tells us that your past does not define you. Your comeback does. If Mike Tyson could rise from the ashes of chaos and find peace, then you too can overcome whatever is standing in your way. That is the real power of his legacy. So stay tuned here on Booming Mentality, because if you thought Tyson's story was powerful, just wait until you hear the next one. We are going to explore another legend who faced impossible odds and still came out stronger. Hit that subscribe button now, because you will not want to miss what's coming next.